to episode 2 of Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast. My name is Luke Legrano.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Acasella.
I'm Lawrence Legrano.
We are fully staffed, boys. We're fully staffed. Welcome back, Lawrence. Happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm a little upset that you guys recorded the first one without me. I'm not going to lie. We could have been flexible on the date. It's a podcast. We're not scheduled on the radio anymore, but now that I'm here.
Larry, I want you to know I had your back 100%. I died on the sword for you, and I was outvoted. So just know that you had someone in your corner. I tried.
Somehow, Ryan, I doubt that. I doubt that.
Ryan, we're only 2 episodes into this podcast. We have a lot more ahead of us. You're going to let the crowd know that you're a compulsive liar?
Hey, they'll figure it out sooner rather than later.
Oh, man.
All right.
Those, Massachusetts folk. Go ahead, Luke.
Gentlemen, I'm happy to be back with the three of you. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's dive right into it. The NFL is experiencing an injury bug at the quarterback position. I'm sure, as you guys know, with multiple teams starting new players this weekend, Mason Rudolph, Teddy Bridgewater, and Luke Falk will all get their first start as quarterbacks.
Kyle Allen.
Oh,
potentially.
say it again?
I said, and potentially Kyle Allen.
And potentially Kyle Allen. Now, Gardner Minshew has already started a game for the Jaguars since Nick Foles went down with a broken collarbone. And with Daniel Jones and Josh Rosen being the named for starters of the Giants and the Dolphins, which new quarterback will have the most success for their new team? Lawrence, start us off.
Oh, boy. On the spot. I'm going to go Teddy Bridgewater. What do you said about Ryan?
Ryan.
You know, the podcast listeners on Spotify can't see his ridiculous reaction right now.
That was going to be my pick.
And I can't tell you why.
Ryan, you can have the same pick. This isn't a competition.
I know. I was hoping we're going to afford it.
The only reason for my pick is that Teddy Bridgewater has started in the NFL before, 1, and 2, he's got the best team surrounding him by far. So that just puts him in the best position out of any of those quarterbacks to succeed, I believe. So,
Ryan, would you like to expand on that?
I also like how long he's been in the system, and he didn't go into the system as a rookie. So he had some experience playing, like you said, and then went into the system, learned under Drew Brees, and I think that's just going to only help him. And he's been in the system for, is this his second or third year with the Saints?
This is his second. He was traded last preseason by the Jets to the Saints, and he only had a 1-year deal after that, and he took less money to be the New Orleans backup instead of signing that train wreck of a Miami Dolphins organization.
Yes.
So I think you hit the nail on the head there, right?
I think he's going to have the best game. I think he's going to look the best. I think he's the most ready.
David, go ahead.
Are we including Josh Rosen in this?
Yes.
This is tough because, I think he's the most talented, but his team is probably the worst football team there's ever been. So he's not going to be successful from the winning standpoint, but I think him standing out there throwing footballs is going to look a lot better than the other guys. If I had to pick one to be, to win, if I had to pick one to win the football game, I would pick Daniel Jones because he's probably the second most talented. Minshew and Falk are, not bad. And Bridgewater's been around a while, but he's really more of a runner than a passer, I think. And that's not really his offense. It's not kind of his game. So to me, I think Daniel Jones really has the best chance. He's got a good arm. I don't know how much you guys have seen this kid play, but he's got a really nice arm. Number 6 overall pick, that wasn't a mistake,
Well,
taking Dwayne Haskins, I mean, that's really the only argument you have because they weren't getting Kyler. Right.
And listen, I mean, it's yet to be seen if we know. Are we going to get to Daniel Jones later and the Giants? Should we stick on topic? Are we talking about Eli in the show?
You can talk about Eli. Go ahead.
I think we should. We may talk about it later, though. I don't know.
Well, Luke, give us your quarterback real quick. Sum it up, and then we'll dive into the Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I'll be quick. And David, I think you hit the nail on the head really well there. I think in terms of relativity, Josh Rosen is going to take this unwinnable Dolphins team into a team that wins a game. However, with that said, I don't think that Josh Rosen will be the most successful quarterback with his new team. My pick is Gardner Minshew because what this Jacksonville Jaguar team relies on is swagger. And we know that first. Yes.
They stink. They're trading a player away. He literally demanded a trade.
Say it again?
Their best player is literally demanding a trade.
Yeah, but here's the thing, David. This isn't the NBA. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to set the precedent that no one can just request a trade and get out of it.
If I was Tom Coughlin, I would tell him to shut up, put his helmet on, and we got a game tonight.
Exactly. I think the Jaguars are the organization to do that because in the NBA, you have a lot of people who can request a trade and get away with it because the NBA is focused on solo talent. There's 53 people on this roster. You can't just keep trade away everyone that says I want out.
No, you can't.
But I think that this guy is finally going to be the arm that the Jaguars need. Their offense has been shaky at best. Their defense is incredible. And I think if Jalen Ramsey stays, which I think he will, I think Minshew is going to be the guy.
He just threw his second touchdown as we're speaking, by the way.
There we go.
We record on Thursday nights, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we record during the Thursday night football game, for those of you that don't know. I have it on over there.
All right, so Lawrence, you wanted to bring up Eli Manning. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's huge news this week. Eli Manning, longtime quarterback for the New York Giants, two-time Super Bowl winner, drafted with a lot of the legends that have fallen this week, ironically, like Ben Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers is still playing, but
right.
The Giants decided to go with that controversial 6th overall pick, Daniel Jones, and announced him as the starter. And I think people had varied opinions on it. It's only week 3. So, David, what do you think about the move?
I think it means so many different things.
Agreed.
Mainly to the New York Giants fans, it's something that, I mean, for my entire lifetime, I think all three of you guys, the only quarterback for the New York Giants you knew was Eli Manning. And, I mean, you can count that one game he got benched for Geno Smith back in, 2 years ago? That Ben McAdoo, like, that's not – I don't know. I don't count that as really him missing a game because he wasn't even injured. That was just a coach being an idiot. Yep. So, but, like, this is it. Like, he's out now. He's not playing football anymore unless Daniel Jones gets hurt, which, who knows with what we've seen with all these quarterback injuries this year. He could totally get hurt and be knocked out of a game, and we could see Eli playing again for Big Blue. But it's something they had to do. What I'm really looking at it is was this move something that they did because they have given up on the season or because they're trying to spark the season? I don't really know what Mara's looking at, whether this was Mara's call or not, whether this was Gettleman's call or Shermer's call. I would imagine this came from ownership down. This is probably a Paul Mara decision. But what do you guys think about that?
David, if I might follow up on that. Sorry, Lawrence. If I may follow up on that, they said that the Giants management said they were going to put Daniel Jones in when the season had lost all hope. That's what they said.
But 0-2 really lost hope?
No. And that's where we comes in.
Yeah.
Because Giants management has been so pro Eli to a fault that I think this has just been all a ploy. All a ploy. We've been fooled.
Barkley over Darnold.
The timing of this is really, really what intrigues me because, honestly, you're both right. I think they're doing this to clearly trigger something, David. I don't know what their intention was, but at 0-2, week 3 of the season, back to Luke's point, ownership has been riding this guy so goddamn hard. So hard. He's been the starter the whole time. He's going to play football. He's still got the arm, this, that, and the other thing. The Giants have let up over 60 points in their first 2 games. Their receivers are depleted. They lost Odell, Golden Tate to suspension, Sterling Shepard to a concussion. Is the quarterback really the problem here? The Vegas line didn't move. The Vegas line didn't move.
No, it moved a couple points. It went to 6.5.
That's
yeah,
1 point.
It opened at like 4,
7.
I think. Did it open at 7? I thought it opened at 4.
I think so.
I could be wrong. We'll check it out.
But still,
but it's definitely
the quarterback is not the issue of this football team. They're
I agree. Completely
bad defensive.
Bad football players.
So then,
it's a hot take.
If I agree completely, but if that's the case, then wouldn't you say they have lost all hope, and we'll throw Daniel Jones in there?
But do you really lose hope at 0-2 though?
Yeah.
How the last 2 years have gone, yes. I kind of do.
Is it really the message you're trying to instill? I mean, we have a Colt fan on this podcast. Their team went 1-5 last year and squeaked into the playoffs. Are you really going to give up after 0-2? Really? You're clearly not trying to tank. You have your quarterback.
So why not give him? Why not give him these
not as good as the Colts are, though.
Ryan, the surprising thing is that it's week 2 and that Giants ownership has literally been, on their hands and knees praising this guy all year. He's going to play football. He's got it. He's 0-2.
I can't imagine that these 2 games is what made them see the light, is what I'm saying. I think that they're really trying to turn this season around, and they think how they're going to spark the team is by putting this kid in, which is an absolute asinine thought from my perspective. But the Giants, I've come to realize, are actually run worse than the New York Mets are, and that's hard to do.
That's impossible. Not possible, David.
Well, no one's as bad as the Knicks, so that's his own argument.
That's true. Now here's the question. Sports. Here's the big question. Is Daniel Jones can't be perfect here. It's physically impossible for this man
he's a rookie. He's still a rookie. Rookies make mistakes. That's the nature of the NFL. But
and we know personally how unforgiving New York fans are. New York fans are so highly demanding of every player they see on their field.
That line opened at 4, by the way, a Giants line. Sorry to interrupt. But.
It did open at 4.
Yeah.
Really?
Are we going to see at this point, let's say Daniel Jones goes 0-2 to start. Are we going to see fans clamoring for Eli? Are we going to see this kid just get beat to death?
No, I think the fan base is excited about this. I'd be excited about this if I was a New York Giants fan because this is your future. Eli will not be back in New York next year. If he decides to play football again, it will not be for the New York Giants. He should retire at the end of the season when his contract runs up. So this kid's the future, but why not let him play 14 games as opposed to 8 games? From a fan perspective, I would understand. It just doesn't understand. I don't understand why you didn't just start the season with this kid if you were going to play him in week 3.
That's fair. I think my biggest thing with this, and I've always been under the school of thought that I don't think you should draft a quarterback when you absolutely need one. I hate the first round pick goes right to starter, just because there's something about that I don't love. I think it's better when they have 2 years.
Yours came from the 6th round, right?
True, but
don't talk about Darnold that way.
So did Aaron Rodgers. Was under par for how long?
But he was a first-round pick.
Yeah, but he didn't start. That's my point.
That is true.
That's my point. That's personally, I like that mindset better. So if that's the case, and for whatever reason the ownership does think that this season is already lost, at least throw Eli out there for the first half of the season, see what he can do. And then if it's really bad after 8 games, you give this kid 8 games to play.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Thinking about it, who's the most successful first-round pick to starter in the league right now?
Carson Wentz.
Patrick Mahomes, probably.
No, he sat for a year.
No, Mahomes sat for a year.
But he was a first-round pick.
Sat for a year?
Oh, yeah.
Mahomes sat. Is it Cam Newton?
You're saying a first-round pick that immediately started?
Correct.
It was
not Darnold, it's not Allen, it's not Mariota, it's not
was Luck. But
is it Cam Newton?
It might be Cam. Cam's definitely more successful than Jameis. Just running through his head. Maybe Jared Goff, just because he went to the Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's a great quarterback either.
Did Goff sit behind Bradford for a little bit, or am I making that up?
It was Case Keenum. He sat for a couple games.
So he didn't start right away.
No, he did not start day 1. He started like Jones, week 4 or 5.
Talking about day 1.
You really want a day 1 guy? Yeah, it's probably Cam Newton then, or Carson Wentz.
Yeah, and look at the quality of quarterbacks that sat: Goff, Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady.
Plenty of busts too, though.
Yeah, there's been more busts than not, I would think. Maybe Matt Stafford, actually. He's never won, but he's for the last 12 years, been a solid quarterback that's never missed a game.
I put Newton above him.
Yeah, Newton's won an MVP.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's really kind of – I think what differentiates him is he has won an MVP and been to a Super Bowl, right?
Stafford also lost Calvin Johnson early, though. Would have been interesting if he had Calvin Johnson for a little longer, what he could have done.
No one really talks about Stafford, but he's literally, for the past 12 years, been nothing but solid and never missed a game.
He's very solid.
Yeah, but I think he's also this is now way off topic, but he's also kind of like a high risk, high reward guy, especially when he had Johnson. It was a lot of deep balls. He had a lot of yards, but a lot of interceptions.
That is true.
I forgot who brought this point up, but someone said Matt Stafford is a garbage time quarterback, which I believe.
Because his team sucks. Yeah. It always has.
But that patch stats being a garbage time quarterback.
I guess you're right.
Okay, we ready to move on? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new segment here on Four Guys Talking Sports. We here at 4GTS, the podcast, are starting a new contest inspired by the Michael K. Show. We'll be submitting our predictions for 3 NFL games, each with points attached to them from 1 to 3. And at the end of the season, we'll see who's the winner, and the loser will have to endure a punishment to be decided at a later time.
We're deciding that punishment on this podcast, by the way. I refuse to talk about it in group chat, in person, anything. That punishment is decided right here.
I agree. Gladly agree to that.
We don't have to get to it now. We got 16 more weeks, 15 more weeks, depending if we play playoffs or not. Could be even.
Yeah.
All right, we have some time, but let's get into our first pick. So your point number 1 pick, Ryan, start us off.
I'm taking the big spread, Dallas over Miami. I wanted to take one of them, and I feel more confident in just Miami's absolutely atrocious, a pitiful defense, and just a terribly coached team all around. I think the Dolphins are despicable. I think the Cowboys are going to cover this one. So of the 2 big spreads, I wanted to take one. Felt more confident about that one than the other.
Football team ever, the Dolphins.
They're so bad. They're so bad. The fact that the Patriots left so many points on the board is unbelievable.
They're still up like 40 something. So
yeah, and they left at least 10 points on the board.
All right, Lawrence, go ahead.
My 1 point.
Now, let me just clear something up here. Is the 1 point my least confident of the 3, or is it?
Yeah, you want most 3 points is the most points, right? So that's your most confident.
Correct.
Okay, so my 1 is the Arizona Cardinals laying 2.5 at home. I really like this game as an upset pick. Before the spread moved, it opened at plus 2.5. Arizona was a home dog. That's why I was all over it. But now with the news that Cam Newton hasn't practiced today, Thursday, 9/19, I have a better feeling that Kyle Allen's going to start his first game on the road in Arizona. The passing attack hasn't been terrible. David Johnson isn't too banged up. And I think the Cardinals have a real chance to cover as a favorite. And I can't believe I'm saying that on week 3 of the NFL season in 2019.
All right, I'll go next. So this pick was really tough for me. I had my first 2 were very easy to decide, and the last one was tough. But I've decided for my 1 point pick, I'm going to take Seattle over New Orleans. I like Teddy Bridgewater. We've discussed this. I think the Saints have a very good team together, but they've looked really, really unlike themselves the first 2 weeks, and I think that's only going to go a step further with Drew Brees not playing for the next 6 weeks or so. I really like the Seattle team, too. I think they have a really good squad put together. I think their defense got even better with Clowney. I really like this team, so they're going to be my number 1.
Forgot about Javion Clowney. What is the spread in that game, Luke? Was it 4.5?
6.5, I believe.
Wow, it moved, huh?
Yep.
I was close to putting that one in there too, Luke. That was my bubble, one of my bubble picks.
All right, David.
Interesting. All right, so my 1 point pick. That's what we're doing, right? 1 point pick.
Yep.
First, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers laying 7.5 at home to the Broncos. I think the Broncos are just an abysmal football team. We all know how explosive that Packers offense can be at any given game, especially at home, where they got those fans going wild. Lambeau Field is just a different kind of environment than any other NFL stadium. We all know what Aaron Rodgers is capable of too, and I think them winning by more than a touchdown is pretty much a foregone conclusion.
All right. So moving on to our 2 point picks. David, you went last, so you can go first this time.
All right, let's do it. So this one might surprise a bit because it's a little strange, but I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns getting 3 points at home to the Los Angeles Rams. I just think that that's a missed line by Vegas. In week 3, the Cleveland Browns are way too talented to be getting any points at home to any team that's not the Chiefs. So I don't understand why they're adding points to the home team in that scenario, so I'm going to take advantage of it then. So Browns it is.
Lawrence, go ahead.
So I originally had this as my top-ranked game, but then with the news today, I started feeling a little bit uneasy about it. It's the NFL. You never really know what can happen. I'm also going Dallas laying points. Miami's brutal. The Rosen news could invigorate them, and 22 points is a lot. It's so much, but I'm gonna lay it anyway because I'm really, really confident in how bad of a football team Miami is. Rosen's the wild card. so anything can happen. And I'm fully prepared to lose, and that's why I'm not making it number 1. But I'm taking Dallas.
Ryan, go ahead.
So maybe I misread this line. Was the Rams the 3-point favorite at the Browns? Is that correct?
Yes, that is
okay.
correct.
I am taking the Rams. I think that the Browns had a good week, but they were still iffy, and that first week scares me. And I think the Rams came out to a relatively slow start, Todd Gurley specifically, and I like Gurley in this game, and I think that the Rams are gonna cover.
A little bit of opposition already, fellas, on the podcast. Things will get a little interesting next week.
Already setting the standings. We can't tie now.
Yeah, it's way harder.
All right. So for my 2-point pick, the Buffalo Bills have played 2 really bad teams to start this year, and they're going to play a really bad team week 3, Cincinnati Bengals. They look good, and Josh Allen looks really good. So my pick is Buffalo over poor Andy Dalton and the depleted Cincinnati Bengals. So that closes it out for our 2-point picks. Ryan, start us off for your 3-point pick. You're most confident.
The bet of the week, Ryan. Here we go.
I know, and I think this might raise some eyebrows, but I think there's a little bit of rationale to it. I'm taking Kansas City at -6 over the Ravens, and I know everyone has been oohing and eyeing over this Ravens offense and Lamar Jackson, but I think at some point that is going to start to sputter a little bit, and the Kansas City Chiefs at home and that offense, even without Tyreek Hill, I think if they had Tyreek Hill, this spread would have been a couple points higher, but I just don't see the Ravens hanging with this Kansas City team when it's going to be, looks like it's going to be an offensive shootout. I just think that the Kansas City Chiefs have too much offensive power, and it's not like the Chiefs-Rams shootout of last year, which is obviously an extreme to compare it to. But those offenses were going to go blow for blow, and I think that once this game gets late, Kansas City's just going to take it and take the 6 points.
It is a dynamite offense they have down there in KC.
And they're missing Tyreek Hill, which is absolutely insane. When he went down and Sammy Watkins still popped off 190 yards and 2 touchdowns or whatever it was, I like that offense. You watch them play too, and it's unbelievable because they have receivers and running backs running everywhere, and then all of a sudden someone's 30 yards downfield, wide open, Mahomes rolls out, rips a dart, the guy runs 30 extra yards, and it's a touchdown. And the drive has been 6 seconds, and you're spinning on the couch trying to figure out how that just happened. It's crazy.
The best offensive play caller of all time, probably. We could argue about that, Andy Reid, but I feel like that's something that we may all agree on. Plus Mahomes' ability, you and I could go out and play receiver for them, and we'd put up 40 points. You know?
The kid's an animal.
All right. David, go ahead.
So this one may not surprise too much, but I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts laying 1.5 at home to the Atlanta Falcons.
The madman.
Look at all the smiles. I think it's a pick week. I don't understand the line again. I think the Colts are a way better football team than the Falcons, and Vegas thinks that the Falcons are a better football team than the Colts, clearly, which I just don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased. I think this is an unbiased decision, though. So my 3-point pick is going to be Colts laying 1.5.
All right, I'll step up for this one. So this week we have the tale of 2 cities. One team. You're going last, pal. Don't worry. You'll be in there. You'll be in there. We have the tale of 2 cities. We have a reinvigorated, hungry offense and defense, a two-headed monster, and in the other we have the soap opera, the lost puppy dog that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I am taking the San Francisco 49ers over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really like Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's really utilizing his receiving core very well. I think that the running back pool is very deep, and I think they've really learned how to utilize that offense. And Pittsburgh is lost, and now they don't have their all-star quarterback, and now I have to rely on Mason Rudolph. And if I'm correct, James Conner is probable, so we don't even know if he's a lock for that game. So my pick is the San Francisco 49ers.
I didn't know James Conner might not play.
He's questionable. I think he's either questionable or probable. Mm-hmm. Lawrence, finish us off.
Absolutely cannot stand how 2 of my games were picked before I picked them. So for that reason, I'll keep it boring. Luke, you had it right, baby. I want the Bills laying 6 points. Since he's terrible, Mixon's banged up, Buffalo's been rolling. Lock it.
There we have it. All right, so we'll get the point totals going next episode. Updated score. But yeah, we'll lock those bad boys in, and we'll keep it going from here on out. All right.
It's gonna be fun.
I have one quick question now because I'm interested to hear what we think. The Patriots-Jets game was not a lock for anyone. Do you think the Jets can cover that spread?
I think it definitely can.
Actually, that's a mailbag question. Can we save that?
No, dang it. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Do we have to save it? Because me and Ryan can really get into it right now.
No, you can't.
You don't know that.
Mailbag. Save it for mailbag. All right. Let's switch sports up a little bit here. The MLB playoff picture looks a little clearer this week. These are sadly one of the best teams in baseball, and the Mets are slowly fighting to stay in, even though they're falling back a little bit. David, Lawrence, Ryan, if you've watched any, do we feel any differently about these teams than we did last week?
Hey, I wasn't on the show last week, so why don't you ask my opinion? How about that? You, Luke Lucarano, are a bonehead for picking Philly. I laughed so hard when I heard that yesterday. So I heard it after they had kind of blew it a little bit.
So just to be clear, really wrong, to be clear, the podcast that you co-host, you listened to the first episode 6 days after it was recorded.
Incorrect. I listened to it the day you released it, but I didn't finish it. So
that's a reason.
I decided I'm going to wait and brush up, right before the show so I can reference your bonehead picks. I thought it was completely reasonable. I think it's the Cubs in the National League. I think we think the Nationals are a lock to get that first wild card spot, but I think it's the Cubs.
Can the Cubs not win that Central still at this point?
Oh, I don't know. Is that a thing? Can I thought do the Cardinals not have the division locked up? Can I default and say the NL Central team not named the Brewers will make the wild card?
I guess so. Let me look at this. I looked at the standings this morning.
They are playing each other right now.
They have 6 games left against each other.
Wow.
Yeah, and I will say that
Cardinals are only 4 up.
I will say that looking back on it, Chicago has gone out of their slump and they've gone the exact opposite direction. So yes, my Philly pick looks a little silly now.
Yes.
However, with that said, I still think they had a better shot than the Mets. So I don't feel bad about that portion of it.
The East and the West are pretty much locked up in the National League. That Central they're still fighting for that though. The Cubs and the Brewers theoretically, without Christian Yelich. I think that for the Mets or the Phillies to even have a chance, they have to win 8 of the last 10 games. They need to go 8-10, and that's only to get a chance.
Yeah. Because you can end up with a 3-way tie for the second wild card spot.
Yeah.
Now, wouldn't that be awesome?
The Mets or Phillies go 8-10. Sorry, 8-2 down the road. That's 87 wins. That would mean the Cubs and Brewers are 6-4. Yep. So, or no, I'm doing that math wrong. 5-5.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
well, that's reasonable. That's absolutely reasonable, I think, for them to catch them.
So we have 3 Mets fans on this podcast, and we're all not picking them to win the division. I think because we're using our brains and not our hearts.
Well, the Braves already clinched it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. We're not picking them. Did I say division? I meant make the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
But if I can bring the fan out of me for just a half sec on this podcast,
sure. Yeah.
The reason that I have optimism in the Mets making the playoffs, even though they're in such an unlikely scenario, is that other teams have done way worse things to blow leads in the last 2 weeks of the season, like the Mets. They've blown leads worse than this. They've done it. It's possible. It's possible. Anything's possible. You can lose 7 games in the last 10 days.
You definitely could.
Weekend. So there's my optimism for the podcast, is that worse things have happened to the Mets.
Think about it. The Mets' last 10 games, 3 are at Cincinnati, winnable. 4 are home for Miami, all very winnable. And then the last 3 are at home against the already division champion Atlanta Braves, who are going to be setting up their rotation for their series against the Cardinals. So they're not even interested in beating us,
It's true.
Ryan, have you watched any baseball?
God, no. All I've done is try to figure out what the Red Sox are going to do this offseason.
Weather fan, Ryan Hicks. Fair weather.
The ironic part about all this, the Red Sox have a better record than the Mets do.
I know, it's sad, right?
That's just how top-heavy the American League is, though. Yankees' magic number is 1, so they could clinch tonight with a win.
Yep. Are we? Yeah. Do you want to go American League now? I think it's pretty set, right? I mean, it's
Yankees, Astros. I guess the Indians could catch the Twins. They probably won't, though. I guess that's about 4 games as well.
I remember everyone having a consensus wildcard game in the American League last week, and I have no rivaling opinion. So
it looks like Indians A's. The only other shot is the Rays. The Rays are kicking around there too. It's going to be 2 of those 3. They may have a 1-game playoff for the 1-game playoff. That'd be exciting to see, I think. But they're so evenly matched, those teams. You know.
Yep, totally.
I would give the A's an edge if I had to, though.
Not bad.
All right,
cool. So let's switch sports one more time. The Rangers had their preseason opener last night against the Devils. They lost, but the Russian additions to both teams, Nikita Gusev for the Devils and Artemi Panarin for the Rangers, both scored their first goals with their new squads. I'll default this question to Lawrence and David. Ryan, feel free to chime in if you'd like to. What do we take away from this game last night?
I think we have something with Panarin. If you were watching the game at all or the post game, as soon as Panarin put that puck in the net, Chris Kreider skated over to Quinn, and you could just see him mouth the words, "Wow," directly saying that to his head coach about this shot. He said it about 4 times to him. So I think that's the real deal. I wouldn't get too caught up in the score of a preseason game. You know, I mean, I don't even know the guy that was playing the goalie in the third period.
Wasn't Adam Hushka, was it?
That?
Wasn't it Georgiev and you don't know Shesterkin?
I mean, I've heard the name, but I've never,
You don't know Shesterkin? David.
Really?
Was he the Russian goalie for the gold medal?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I do know who he is.
I was going to say, we've talked about him many a time on the radio, let alone.
I didn't realize that was him.
The Rangers drafted him in 2014. They've been talking about this guy as the heir apparent for 5 years, David. 5 years.
Russians don't make good goalies.
No, that's Bobrovsky.
Yeah, what's he ever done, besides...
Be a good goalie?
A lot of Vezina trophies.
Yeah, I guess you're right. He has one of those.
It is what it is, right? Luke, my take on it. Nice to see Kakko, Kravtsov, and Fox in Rangers blue. Young kids look good.
So that was going to be my biggest point was watching the game and watching the highlights. I was more interested from an outsider's perspective of seeing what Kakko could do, just because we know Panarin's a baller. We know he's going to score. That was kind of I guess the monkey off the back with the first goal.
And you're a Rangers fan too, just never just expected.
Right, and that's fair. But just watching it when I it was yeah, he scored. Well, okay, that's great. But I was more interested in seeing how Kakko looked and how he was skating and moving the puck and playing. So that was from an outsider's perspective. I was more interested in how the new kid was going to play than what we were kind of expecting with Panarin, personally.
I got the chance to read Sean Harnett's from WFAN's piece this morning while I was on the subway. And his main point was, even though they went 1 for 4, the power play looks very different and it looks very good. And that's how Panarin's goal came, if I'm correct.
It was the classic Ovechkin power play rocket from above the dot.
It was the Russian shot.
Yep.
So, and that's been a hard thing to watch as a Ranger fan the last few years. Kevin Shattenkirk was supposed to come in and fix that, and he didn't because he got hurt, and he wasn't the same player. So, if this power play actually looks like it can do something this year, then that's going to be big, and that's going to be a big boost for the young kids.
Yeah.
Ryan, any Bruins news you got for us?
They signed Carlo and McAvoy, I think, both since the last time we talked.
Beautiful contract for McAvoy.
Both on excellent deals. Now, granted, McAvoy is going to get paid, and let me emphasize, paid when his contract is up. However, if he keeps producing and improving at the rate he has, that last year of his deal, I think, could be one of the best contracts defensively in the league, because that kid can play. And when he is on the last year of a 4.9 AAV contract, and he's one of the top defensemen in the league, I think that contract is going to look very pretty. And with the Carlos signing, there's a lot of rumors that the Bruins are now focusing on extending a player, which everyone believes to be Charlie Coyle, which I love. Yes, which I am all in favor of. So things are looking good. We just got to figure out Backus's situation and get him out of the city, let Chara walk off into the sunset, and start letting the young kids play.
So I think it was the day after. I don't think we got to talk about Mitch Marner. Is this true?
Oh, no, we haven't talked about
Mitch. No, we haven't.
I didn't get to talk about Mitch Marner. The Mitch Marner series is over. The man got his money. If I remember correctly, it was a $10.83 million contract. I believe the terms is 6 years. Yeah, is the AAV. And I believe the contract goes for 6 years, if I remember correctly. I'm going to try and get confirmation on that.
I thought it was short.
You thought it was shorter?
No, I believe it's 6.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Confirm that, Luke.
I'm looking up right now. But how do we feel about that, boys?
I mean, the RFA dominoes just started to fall. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, it was ridiculous. These kids, and even now, we're almost at the end of September, and there are still RFAs that haven't signed and aren't in camp. But the dominoes are starting to fall. What's up?